Hi everyone, it's Nicole for Simon Says Stamp, and today we're going to be creating a beautiful card featuring alcohol ink markers colored over pattern paper featuring the April 2024 card kit Wild and Free Flowers. I'm using lots of components from the kit today. First, here is a peek at what you get in the kit, including an awesome pair of scissors. I'm going to use those. Ultrafine gold embossing powder and a clear embossing ink pad, the Wild and Free stamp set, beautiful American Crafts Dreamer 6x8 pattern paper, beautiful one-sided pattern paper. I love that you don't have to choose. A wonderful embossing folder. This is the floating flowers, a metallic dull pink envelope, foam adhesive. We're going to use both of those. 3 shades of cardstock, and a wonderful mesh zippered bag. I love these bags for holding all of my components together. We're going to start with one of the pattern papers from the kit, and you can see that it has a very muted tone-on-tone background. I find if you want to color over a pattern paper, you will want to choose something that is very light or tone-on-tone so that it doesn't detract or take away from the coloring. I've stamped my image on a trimmed down piece of this pattern paper using an ink for alcohol ink coloring. I used some black Hero Arts Intensified black ink, and then I'm going to start coloring with Olo markers. I've listed these colors down in the description below the video here on YouTube for your convenience. I'm going to start with my dark color first on the petals of the flower. Then I'm going to go in with my mid-tone color and kind of pull some of that dark out a little bit. Even though I'm doing tone-on-tone coloring, the petals of the flower are much darker than the pattern paper, and I love the result. Next, we're going to take our lightest shade in this trio, and we're going to pull the color even further out to the edges of the petal. Now, this particular image does have 2 blooms on it. I will color the other one here in just a second. So I'm going to go from the opposite side of the petal, or the tips of the petal, if you will, and work my way in and just kind of blend out that color. If you blend a little more than what you want, you can always go back with your dark color and add in a little bit additional shading. I love this because it doesn't require lots of coloring over and over the same area and oversaturating your paper, maybe causing it to bleed outside the line. Now, once I was done with the 3 shades of purple, I'm taking a fuchsia pink color. We're adding little dots of color with this fuchsia colored marker, adding texture to the petals of our flower. This adds a nice, subtle little bit of texture, color to these petals. Once we have the pink color, we will go in with our darker purple color and add in a few little dark purple dots as well. I like how this just adds a little bit of added interest to the image. And I'm taking my time with this, almost setting that marker down into the previously colored petals so that it kind of wicks the purple away, leaving those little dots of pink. Now I'm going in with my darker purple and doing a little bit quicker, little tiny taps. You don't want to set the marker to the paper for very long. More, you just want the tip of that marker just barely touching the paper or the petals and adding little dots of color. And that looks so pretty. I absolutely love it. Next, we are going to do the same thing with the leaves. We're going to go in with our dark color first and lay down anywhere that we want that dark green. Then we're going to go in with our lighter green color and blend it out. There's not near as much green on here, so we don't have to add quite as much color. And again, same thing. If you blend out more than what you prefer, you can go back with the dark color and add in additional shading as needed. I like the process of laying the dark color down first and then blending out with the light, as it doesn't oversaturate the paper. And the greens look amazing even over this light purple color. I do feel like I need to add in just a little bit more dark in a couple of areas where the leaves overlap and there would be some natural shading. Let's color that last bloom. Again, same technique as before with the dark color first and then the lighter shades. And we'll also use a little bit of yellow just for the inside of this flower. This is not super dark, but I want to add a little bit of that to the center of the flower. I did use a little bit of the fuchsia color just on the tips of the petals for this flower bud, and now I'm going in with my darker color. So I did end up using all 3 shades of purple or violet, and then I did use the fuchsia color as well. Once we're done with this, I will trim down this panel to measure 4 by 5 1/4 inches. This is going to leave a nice border all the way around our panel, leaving us to be able to mat this on another piece of pattern paper. And again, I did go in and add just a little bit of texture with that pink marker again. Super simple coloring, and look at the results on pattern paper. It's absolutely amazing and one of my favorite things to do. So now I want to look through my pattern paper and choose what I want to mat this on. I think I will go ahead and stamp my sentiments, and then we're going to finish it up. Now, as beautiful as this flower is, I love to add a few little extras. So for my card today, I think I will add one of the stamped scripty sentiments, stamped and embossed with that gold embossing powder included in the kit, and the amazing ink pad the embossing ink pad included in the kit. Then we will stamp and emboss 2 phrases from the same Wild and Free Flowers stamp set on some of the white cardstock in the kit, and emboss that with the gold embossing powder as well. I like the difference of having one of the sentiments stamped directly on my panel and the rest of them stamped and die cut on a separate piece of paper. For these, I will be using the sentiment label dies from Simon Says Stamp to die cut these small phrases into sentiment strips. Now that's not all. I absolutely love the pattern paper included in the kit today, and I wanted to use some of the stamped images, almost like we're decorating the edge of our card with a border of real stamps. So I will be using that sheet of paper, trimming it down, and we will be placing those along the right side. So first I want to grab my paper trimmer and we want to trim down those postage stamps. And I'm trimming pretty close. I'm not going to have a perfect border. We're not going to get that great postage stamp border, but if I trim close enough, that's fine. I'm going to kind of disguise the fact that they are trimmed from pattern paper, I guess, if you will, by inking up the edges of my stamps with some charcoal positively saturated ink. I ended up die cutting quite a few of these postage stamps, and I can use them on other projects later on. I really wanted to pick some that I felt like matched the look and feel of this card. Honestly, any of them would do, but I tried to stick to more pinks and purples for this particular card design. I think about 5 of the postage stamps will fit along the right side of the card, right there, just to the right of where our sentiments will go. And I want to add those first before we add our sentiment strips. I think I want one more of these on this side, so let's trim that up real quick. I'm going to take the charcoal positively saturated ink cube and ink up the edges. You could also do this with the full-size ink pad if you prefer. The ink cube is just a little bit easier to manage for the direct to paper technique. I love direct to paper, and it works really well to kind of grunge up our postage stamps. I first want to make sure that they're going to fit, and then I will start inking them up and adding them to my card. Now we have foam adhesive squares that come in the kit, and these are going to be great to attach these stamps right along that right side. One thing about my positively saturated ink cube is it was very inky and very juicy, so I did let the stamps sit for a minute while that ink dried. I'm only inking up 3 sides. The side that will be showing, and then the top and the bottom, because that right side is going to be trimmed away. And I love the imperfection of this. We're going to grab foam adhesive now, and we're going to attach these all along the right side of our card. I've also placed some thin foam adhesive strips on the back of my greetings that we can then pop in place. I'm going to stagger them just a little bit, and I want these to be as straight as possible since our stamps will all be attached at an angle. I love these scissors from Simon Says Stamp that are included in your kit, as they work great to trim up even the stickiest foam adhesive. Grabbing some foam adhesive squares now, we are going to start adhering our stamps down the right side. I love that this actually looks like postage stamps. Now I did end up using some larger Simon Says Stamp foam adhesive squares, but you could use the smaller ones. In fact, I kind of wish I had, but that's okay. You can see I am slightly tilting and overlapping my postage stamps all down the side. I even think that these postage stamps would make a great focal point for other cards, and you get a full 6x8 sheet that you can trim apart and use on multiple projects. I have tons of postage stamps left that I can use on other cards. I want to make sure I don't cover up my greeting at all here. Now, once I have these all in place, I'm going to flip the entire panel over, and using my scissors, I'm going to trim away anything that overlaps the 4x5 1/4 panel. Just going straight down, snipping all of that away, and then along the top and the bottom as well. It's just a tiny little bit. Perfect. Look how cute that is. I love it. Now, this is adorable. I thought, do I want to add any more? But I felt like that's just a little too much. You can always use those little pieces that we trimmed off if you wanted to. But again, I felt like that would just be overkill for this card. We're instead going to take one of the other pattern papers from the kit, trim it to 4.5 by 5.5, and we will be matting this entire panel on that one, and it has a great diagonal stripe, so that's going to look amazing. Kind of tie into the postage theme. I also felt like I wanted to do something to draw your eye into the beautiful wild and free flowers even more, so we're going to go in very carefully with some glossy accents, and we're going to color right over the top of what we colored with the glossy accents. Now I know it's kind of muting it right now and giving it that milky finish, but once dry, you're going to be left with a perfectly clear, glossy raised flower that really packs a punch. Take your time with this step because you definitely don't want to drag your hand through it. I ended up coloring not only the petals, but little dabs on the center of the flower. We're also going to do the flower bud and even the leaves. The smaller the tip on your glossy accents, the better. I really love this mini glossy accents, as I find that they tend to not clog quite as much, and I just purchase a new one when this one runs out. So I'm going to set this aside to completely dry, and then we will place it on that other pattern paper. I've got a white top fold card base here. I love these card bases from Simon Says Stamp. And then we're going to, again, mat this on a pattern paper and then adhere it to our card base. And I did play around with several different things, but that little purple diagonal stripe is perfection. We're going to pair this with the beautiful metallic doll pink envelope included in the kit, and our card is all finished. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this beautiful card using alcohol ink markers on pattern paper featuring the April 2024 card kit from Simon Says Stamp. Thanks for watching.
Hi there, I'm Heidi, Simon's mama and founder at simonsaysstamp.com. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you like what you just saw, be sure to press the thumbs up and subscribe to see more great content.